Hello and welcome guys. So today I have something different for you. Today we'll look at some low poly stylized assets that I have made inside Blender, and we'll make them inside Blender and then export them to Unreal Engine. And so they obviously won't look the same as these, but wherever I make, you guys can follow along and then let's see what we can come up with. Of course, you guys see this grass down here. Now this I actually made for this tutorial, but I don't think it looks too stylized. It just looks realistic. So at the end of the tutorial, I'll also show you guys how I made this grass as a bonus. So let's get started inside Blender. So inside Blender, first thing we will look at is we'll make a mountain. So let's press A twice to delete everything, and then we go to scene, change the units to metric and the value to 0.01 to match the scale of Unreal Engine, and we'll do 1 kilometer for our end cliff distance. And I'll turn on my screencast so you guys will see whatever I press down here. So Shift A, we add a plane. Now the how big the plane should be is really depends on how big you want your mountain to be. For this example, I'll leave it like this. I'll press Tab and W and subdivide. I'll do about 10 cuts, and then I'll go to. So there's two ways now. Either you can use a face select where you select one of these and then you can press O for proportional editing. You can left click on this and then use your mouse wheel and scroll it towards you, and then this will give us a nice shape for our mountain. And you can go with whatever you are happy. So I'm going to move this to this side, and we're going to add another plane down here. And this time we'll again do the subdivide 10 times. And this time we'll use the vertices select, and we'll use one of the vertices and we'll just take this up. So as you guys can see, this gives us two different types of mountains. One where it's the top is pointy, and one where the top is kind of plain. So this is the two ways of actually making mountains. Now how we can do the colors is we were to press 1 to go to front view and 5 for orthographic view. So we'll press C and we'll select the top four. So we'll just select the top few faces. From this side we'll press P and we'll do selection. Now this is a different mesh. So now we'll add a material to this mesh. A material. Now the top is usually in stylized scenes usually white. So we're going to leave it at white, and then we'll add a material to this. And we'll make this about something like this, red. So now if you go to solid, as you can see, we have that blend between these two, which gives us a nice looking low poly mountain. So same thing for this. We can press tab, go to front view, you can use Z so we can see all of the sides. And we can select these. Then, sorry, not yet. So we can do E, selection. And when it's separate, we can add a material down here. White is fine for that, and for this one we will change this to red. And as you guys can see, this works out fine for us, but just make sure in the end you select this and then you select this, and you do Ctrl J to join them back together, and then Ctrl Shift Alt C and origin to 3D cursor. Same thing with this. We'll join these two together. So now I'm just going to delete this one and just keep one. And also I'm just going to delete these extra vertices, so I'll just use C and select them by left mouse. And I'll press delete and then do vertices. And now we're just left behind with the mountain itself. Now we can go to File, Export FBX. I'm just going to make a new folder here, and I'll call this tutorial. And inside here I'll save this as mountain. So that's the first thing. Now I will delete this and we will make our next thing. And now we'll look at making some low poly rocks. Now rocks is also really easy. What I just used, Shift A mesh. I use an icosphere. Icosphere works out quite fine, and we'll scale this. So we'll press S and Z. Scale this on the Z axis, and already you have a low poly rock. Now if you want to edit this or add more vertices to it or something, go to the sculpt mode, and you can choose all the options down here for if you want to sculpt on this and you can sculpt more, and then you can choose more options down there. You can kind of grab the different places. So you can make like all cool things with this, all cool effects. So sculpting is a really useful tool for low poly models. And then if you want more, let's say so you can also go to the modify tab and then go down to decimate and decrease the collapse ratio, and your rock will start to change shapes from one thing to another. So now I'm just going to export this as an FBX, and I'll call this rock. I'll actually call this rock 1. I'll Control Z and go to the original one, so this one, and I'll call this. Of course, make sure you also add in material to this. And now, file export FBX, and I'll call this one rock 2. Right, so we'll delete this, and next thing I think is a pine tree. So what we'll do for that is we'll do Shift A mesh and just add a simple cube. 1 for front view. We'll take this up, do Control Shift Alt C Origin 3D cursor, and we'll scale this in, and then we'll scale this on the Z axis. Once this is done, we'll go to mesh and we'll add a cylinder. And I'm actually going to change the vertices down here to perhaps 6. Let's see what 6 looks like. Yeah, that looks fine. So we'll move this about here. We'll scale this on the Z axis, make this a bit smaller. We'll press tab and go to face select. Select the bottom face and delete and faces. And then we'll go to add select. We'll select the bottom edges and we'll scale out. And then tab. Now we can just do Alt D, so we can just copy and paste this. Just make sure it touches the bottom. So Alt D, and then move this up, scale it in, Alt D, move this up, scale it in. So pretty much we just copy and paste and then scale in. And then for the final one, we'll move this up and we'll just press S and Z. So we'll actually make this longer on the Z axis. And then we'll press the top, actually for the last one, sorry, I'm just going to do Shift D. So instead of Alt D, I'll do Shift D, and I'll move this up and then scale in. Then we'll select the top edges and we'll do Alt M, add center. So now it's merged at center, and then we'll go to vertice select, select the top vertice and just move this up. And there we have it. So we have like a pine tree now. Then we can Control Shift click all of these, and then Control J to join them together. And we'll add a material to this, and we'll add a separate material to this, and then we'll join this with the base as well. So Control J. And now we have our pine tree. And we can just go to File, Export FBX, and I'll call this pine tree. And we'll move on to the next one. So now we'll try to work on like a small tree. So for this I'll just do go to mesh, I'll bring in a cube perhaps, and I'll just make this small, about there, and I'll move this up, so the origin, and move the origin to down there. So Control Shift Alt C, I can press tab, and I'll go to vertice select. I'll select the top 4 vertices, and I'll rotate this around here. I can just move this around, and so up here now I can just scale this in. Then I'll do Alt D on this, then scale this in and move this around here. Just rotate this, and you have a different branch coming off. Scale this up if you want, and Alt D again. I'm going to go to solid so you guys can see what's actually going on here. You can scale this in, make this smaller, and we can put this here, maybe rotate it on this axis a bit more. And we'll also do Alt D and RZ about here, and we'll scale this in, move this around here. And then we can just add, so I'm just going to select all of these. So select all of these and Control J and Origin 3D cursor. Add a material to this, then we can go to mesh. So let's try a UV VFS perhaps. Let me see how to do these ones. So for these, okay, and those Yeah, I see. So let's try a UV sphere. We'll change this to about 6 or even 4 would do. And then we can, for the rings we'll also do like 4 or something. We can move this up, we can scale this in and rotate this. Actually, I'm going to go top view and just move this where this one should be. And then go to front view and just drag this down and rotate. And it should be on there. And then press 7 again, Alt D. Move this just above this one, make another one, move it just above this one, make another one, and right here. And we can move this down, scale this in because it's quite small. Rotate that way. Move this down. Scale this in. And this one also I'll scale in and move this right here. So this is like the one type of tree that you guys can actually get from like easily. I know it's not perfect, but that's because I'm just trying to show you guys stuff. I'm not trying to spend too long on each tree and each asset. And then join this together, Control J, add a material, and then I'll just select everything by double clicking A and Control J, Control Shift Alt C, Origin 3D cursor, and we'll export this. I'll call this a simple tree. Okay, then we can export this and we can delete this. Okay, so now we'll make a cone shaped tree. So I'm just going to press Ctrl Z from this until it's not joined together. I'll just leave the top bit and I'll leave the bottom bit here. Then I'll do Shift A, Mesh, and I'll add an icosphere. And I'll scale this on the Z axis. And you could literally just put this up here and you have a cone tree. Now there's something you can do if you want to add some like because low poly doesn't have to be consistent in its shape. So you can go to the modifier, go to decimate, and it will reduce this a little to give it kind of a different shape. And it still looks quite alright. So once you're happy, if you want to leave it how it was originally, that's fine. But I'm just going to reduce that and I'll apply that. Then we'll add a material to this. And this one should already have material. And we'll select these two and Control J and Control Shift Alt C to make the origin the bottom. Now we can go File, Export FBX and call this cone tree. And then we will delete this. So now we'll make some low poly grass. Now for this we can just go Shift A, Mesh, add a plane, go to front view, RX, type 90. We'll move this up. Control Shift Alt C, Origin 3D cursor. Now I'll scale this on the x-axis, so S and X. Then I'll press Tab and Control R. I'll add about a few edge loops in there. Then I'll select these two, and I'll move them around here. Select these two, I'll move them around here again. Then I'll move this about here and move this in. I'll move that in as well, and I'll move this towards this side. I guess I can just move these a little more here. So this is really up to your style. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be. There's no specific way of actually doing this for the grass. But so I'm just going to leave it like this, and then you can maybe make some copies, and then RZ 180, rotate on the other side, and then scale down, and then Alt D, and then copy that here as well, and then RZ 180. Paste that here, and just do something like this. And then we can add a new material to this, and so we have some grass ready. But before we go to before we export this, what I like to do is go to solidify to give it some surface as well, and you can just increase the thickness down here. And as you can see, your grass starts to get thicker as well. I'm just going to delete these two for now. Then now, after I have applied the thickness, then I can copy these. So R set 180, scale down. So scale them differently, however you like. Or rotate them even. So you guys can have multiple different strands, but now I'm just going to make sure that all of them are actually parented. So they all join together, Control J, and make sure the origin is in the middle. And we can export this to file, export FBX, and we'll call this grass. Then we can just delete this, and we'll try and make some clouds now. Now clouds are actually pretty easy to make. All you do is Shift A. So icosphere I think works really good for low poly shapes. And I'm just going to go to the modifier and decimate this a bit to give it a weird, if you want to call it, or just a random shape. And then apply. So I'll make this this one smaller. I'll move this on this side, and I'll Alt D and then move the other one around here. Make this one a bit bigger. Now Alt D again and move this one here, and make this one smaller. And then you can also add a few. So you can add a few down here. Maybe make this smaller and add this down here. And then this down here, and add one here maybe. And then we'll press A and Control J, join them all together. Press 1, take them up and make the origin. So Shift C, and then Control Shift Alt C, origin is 3D cursor. And then you can just add a material to this. Now there are, of course, if you guys are looking for a bit more, what you can do is, so if I do Control 1, as you can see, the trace count has increased. If I do Control 2, what it's basically doing is just adding subdivisions surface to these. So if you're looking for less, so more closer to, if you're looking for something like this, you can just increase the views down here. So you can go to modifier and add the subdivision surface and just change that down here. But I'm happy with this, so I'm just going to file, export, FBX, and I'll just call this cloud. Okay, and then we can delete this. So now we can start working on this. So I just use an icosphere for this, or in a UV sphere would also work. So if I bring in a UV sphere, I can turn this down to maybe 16 or even 8. Doesn't seem too bad. Then I'm going to scale this in, and then scale this on the Z-axis. Then press 1, I'll move this up. And I'll Control Shift C, origin 3D cursor, and then I can do Control 1 and I'll press Tab, and I'll take these vertices down a bit, give it that shape, and I'll Alt and select all of these, and I'll take these up a bit, and then these as well, to give it a bit more of the shape. So these, I'll take this down. Okay, so once I have done this, I can actually also take this a bit higher as well. Okay, then I can go to my, I'm going to apply this modifier and then go to decimate. And just decimate until it looks quite rough. And then once you're happy with whatever you have, you can just do Alt D, rotate it on the x-axis 90 degrees, and move this up, move this around the middle, and then scale it on the y-axis, scale it in on the y-axis, and just place it about here, and then scale it in on the x-axis as well, and move it more towards one side, and then Alt D again, and you can move that about here, and you have something that looks low poly enough and works. So then I'm just going to select all of these, so shift click all of them, and then Control J and Control Shift Alt C, so origin is near the bottom, and I can just add a material to this. If I change this color, of course the whole thing will change. And then we can export this as well. So of course, so first I'll export this as an FBX, and I'll call this electric post or something. Yeah, electric post would do. And then we can, I'm just going to go Control Z until they're not together. I'm going to delete this long one and take these two down. And rotate them on the Z-axis 90 degrees. Then move them around here, and then do Alt, D, and then R. So R, I believe, Y 90. And as you can see, this gives us like a nice fence looking thing, or like a post. And you can of course randomly do the sizing for these to make them look a little different. And you can just do Alt D and then move these to this side. Alt D and move them to this side. So with low poly stuff, you can actually copy a lot of stuff, just like copy and paste, and you have something different. So Alt D, and then I can move this on this side. So now we have like a fence as well, and I'll just Control J, join these together, and then press 1, and make sure they're in the center. Yeah, and then press 1, and this should be the center. Control Shift Alt C, or in 3D cursor, and we'll give this a material, and we'll file export FBX this as a fence. Okay, now we can delete this. So now for the last one, I'll actually use Create. Now I have done a full video on how to use Create on my channel, so check it out if you guys are interested in this. So I'm just going to open Create and go to a new, to start off brand new. I'll increase the trunk radius. So let's find trunk radius. I'm just going to add some branches first as well, actually. So add some branches to this. Then I'll increase the trunk radius. And I'll perhaps rotate them slightly upwards. Yep, that works. And maybe we can have 2 trunks here actually. So if I increase the trunks to 2, then I can go bend these on X and Y. If I bend this on X, the max down here. Also I can bend them around Z and Z and X, where I can bend them. Don't want too much bend though. Okay, and then still define the trunk radius though, which I can't seem to find. There we go. So something like this would do. Then we can just go to File, Export, and make sure you export this as an OBJ file. And I'm going to save this in my tutorial folder, and I'll call this Create 3. Now go to Blender, File, import the OBJ file that we just saved. So Create 3, press 1, we'll move this in the middle. Control Shift Alt C to make this a little bigger. As you can see right now, it's very smooth, so it doesn't look very low poly. So to this we can just go to the modifier, and we can also add the desiccate modifier. Don't do too much, or else you might start seeing like holes in your tree, which you don't want, definitely not. Then we can scale this. What if I do 0.25? Yeah, starting to look, as you guys can see, there's holes around the tree now, so I'll do about 0.4. So something like this should work. Okay, and once you've done this, I'll go to Mesh, and we'll use a icosphere this time. And I'll scale this on the Z-axis, and I'll make this smaller. And we'll put this on all of the separate branches. So this one, I'll rotate this about here. This one, I'll rotate this about here. and make sure you change the sizes every time so that they look different. And then Alt D, it's going to do 7, and move this up, rotate this the right way. It's going to scale this up a little bit. Alt D, go up here, just keep this one just like this. I'm just going to move this around here, scale this one down. Anyway, so you guys basically get the idea. I'm not going to go over each and every branch, and I'll just select these and Control J, join these together, and I'll add a new material to this, and we can select all of it, and then File, of course select all of it, and then Control J, Control Shift Alt C. So make sure Shift C and then Control Shift Alt C, so the origin is right there. And then File, Export FBX, and I'll call this Big Tree. That's right. Okay, so now we'll just go to Unreal Engine, and we'll start to import these things. I'll just import them in here. I'll make a new folder, call this tutorial, and we'll just import everything in here. All of these assets will open and import. We don't want any materials or textures at the moment. So import all. Then again, if I delete these, actually I'll leave them there so you guys can do a comparison, I suppose, and I can just make a copy of this, right? And the grass comes with it. Okay, and we can open this first of all, and I'm just going to use the same materials that's down here. So I believe this was my if I go to my trees, so my tree material is actually pretty simple. So it uses a vector 3 up here, well, I think it's a vector 4, I'm not sure, and then a vector 3. So the first one goes into A, the second one goes into B, and then in the alpha I have an exponential value. Ignore this multiply. This should probably be plugged in here anyway. I don't know why there's a multiply there. And then ignore this as well. This isn't very useful for this, but this is something else. Still have this, should probably delete that. So it's very simple. So I have an expo here, which is connected to the Fresnel. The Fresnel is in the alpha, and then I have two color vectors down here. So this is the material that I'm just going to drag onto my cone tree, for example. The top is this, as you guys can see. So what the Fresnel does is it gives us this some shiny look, where if you look at it from different angles, you have two colors blending in together. And then I have this down there. Then I will go and grab my next tree. So I'll open my next tree. Is this big tree, and then I can drag my brown down here, and I can make this pink up here. So for a low poly, this looks quite alright, I would say. Then the next thing would be our cloud. For my cloud is again a simple white material, nothing too much to it. Of course, I'm using the Fresnel effect, and as you can see, the cloud looks quite cool as well. Then we have our fence, which I will give a let's see if we have something like this. So this color works pretty good for the fence. Okay, what do we have next? So next we have our electric post. We can give the same material to this, as you can see up here. This looks quite alright as well. And next we have our grass down here. Now our grass, we can give so for my grass, the material I'm using is same thing again. So the same things, but just different colors this time. So the grass, I'm going to drag the material instance. I use the material instances as they're easy to edit. So if I want to change the color of my grass, for example, I could, so if I drag this here and drag this here, okay, not this one. Yeah, so if I drag this here, so you guys can see what happens to the grass itself. And I'm just going to change the color down here. So if I was to change the first one to yellow, you can see it turns yellow, and the second one to, let's say, orange or red. I can change the expo value, and this is the effect it has. It determines how much of the thing is being covered by one color and the other. So save this, and let's see, what do we have left behind? So next we still have our pine tree to do. We have our mountain, we have our rocks, and we have this last tree. So let's start applying material to these, starting off with the let's see, this tree. So I'll just use like a greenish color, I suppose, here, perhaps this one, yeah, and a brown color down there. Yeah, so this looks fine. Next thing is the mountain. Again, I'll use a white color on the top and a brown color down the bottom, and this looks like all the low poly mountains you guys will see in low poly games or in different assets and stuff. Next we have a rock, which we can just give a let's see, a grayish color. Doesn't change much. And rock 2 as well, we can give this a grayish color or a brownish color, whatever you guys want. And we have our simple tree here, which I can give also perhaps a pink color. So here we go. So all our assets are actually colored now, and now we can start placing them down here. So here's our clouds. Now of course right now the scaling is a bit of an issue, which you can randomly adjust in here when you start putting out stuff, or you can adjust them inside Blender. If it's too small, as you guys can see, my scaling is a little bit too small. And the mountain, there we go. And as you guys can see, these assets look very similar to the ones we have down here. Just going to quickly get rid of this grass, all of this grass. As currently have like 38k of these, and it's obviously causing a bit of an issue with the FPS. I can't really see the FPS issue, but you guys will be able to see, simply because my recording software isn't the best, or the settings aren't the best, more like, so it really gets a lot of lag when I'm recording. Okay, and we can start planting these as well. So we can plant this tree and put down our rocks. So we can bring out the rocks, we can plant this tree here. My computer has gotten really laggy all of a sudden. So we can, I can get this, yeah, so we can make this bigger. We can add our posts, electric post or whatever. We can add our fence in here, which looks nice and stylized from all different sides. And we can also add our grass down here, which also needs to be scaled up. You can see it's really tiny, but you guys get the basic idea of how these assets can be made inside Blender, and with a little bit of adjusting, you can actually acquire a lot of really different results and good looking results. And as promised, the last thing I'll do is I'll show you guys how I made this grass inside Blender. So for the grass, the last thing that we'll look at. So how I made the grass is actually quite simple, and I'll just show you guys, I'll demonstrate what it is and how I've done this. So if I go down to my grass, and I'll show what this actually is. So essentially it's this texture. So I made this inside Blender. So I made just a simple plane. I did a simple plane, rotated on the x-axis 90 degrees, and then I extruded it along these so you know what, I'll just show you guys how I did this quickly, and then we can move on from there. So inside Blender, I decided a simple plane, so Shift A, Mesh Plane RX90, press 1 and 5 on the number pad. Okay, and then I'll just scale this in, move this up, Alt Control Shift C or into the cursor, Tab Control R, add a few edge loops, about 3 would do, and then basically move this somewhere around here, move this around here. I'm just gonna have a look at this shape as well. Just going to scale this in on the x-axis as well, just a little bit. So then I move this around here. Give this kind of a shape down here and make sure the top is a little too much. And then move this in. And it's basically something like this. And then just did Alt D, just copy a few times, rotate it around, change the scaling, and you'll end up with something like this. So once I had something like this, what I did is I actually added a mesh behind it, so RX90 again. And I made sure that the mesh behind it has a different color to the grass. So went to my materials, I did let's say I did like a blue or a red color. Then I went to GIMP, so if I open GIMP right now, just to show you guys what I did. Of course I went to Windows and save screenshot from the front view, which you can get from pressing 1 on your number pad. So I did something like this. Then I went to GIMP, and so I'll show you the texture I actually had then when I worked into when I was working with this. So this is the image I had, and what I did is I just cropped this out. As you can see, it's pretty much the same plane, which has been copied and pasted multiple times over and over again to get this shape. So I use the crop tool to bring this quite close down here. Press enter, right click, add alpha channel, and then which just basically adds a transparent channel to the background, and then use the color select tool. Select this color and press delete. And select and then none. Then as you guys can see down here, I have this light dot from Blender. Just use the eraser to get rid of that. Then I exported this as a PNG file, because PNG is what keeps the details of the background as well. Which then I actually imported inside. Actually before that, I actually went back to Blender, and if I delete all of this, and I'm just going to bring in. So I made another plane down here, and this is the plane I actually made. So I made a plane, I made it quite long on the x-axis, and then I pressed tab on this and view, and then I unwrap this, which you can see in my UV image editor down here. And I brought in the PNG texture, which has a transparent background. As you guys can see down here, it has a transparent background. If I go to texture, you can see that it doesn't really have any backgrounds. So this is what my grass basically is, and then last thing I did is inside Blender, I went to Vertex Paint, and I added so I added this out, like down here, so just a black color down near the bottom. So what this allows us to do is basically so when you add wind to your grass, the bottom will stay still and only the top will move. And I actually learned this from Jake again on YouTube. I'll leave a link to his video in the description. So this is it, and then inside Unreal Engine, if I show you my actual material for the grass, so just close this. So my actual material itself is basically again the so I'm using a lerp with 2 colors, a funnel and an expo value, and then ignoring the other stuff. So this is my texture down here. So I am using a mask plane. This 2-sided foliage, and its 2-sided is ticked. Now there is normally an issue, so if I was to drag this grass down here, right, as you can see, it looks pretty good, and you can see the wind is only affecting the top and not the bottom. So if I was to show you down here, so the wind, how the wind works is you use the vertex color, you divide that, and then I'm using a scalar parameter to determine how much the wind should be, and then I am masking out the red channel. And I'm using a simple grass wind node which you can find inside Unreal Engine very easily, which goes into the world position offset. Now I have a multiply and a vector here, and there's too much going on here at one time, but then the alpha from this also goes into this multiply, and this color kind of determines the shading on the other side. So as you can see, so this sub that I have called, I can go to down here, and in my grass color, if I was to change the sub color to say black, you can see that this side goes black, but if I change this to white, you can see more of it. So that really helps your foliage look nice from both sides. So this is how I did that, and then as you can see, the grass looks quite nice, and you can see down here. And then I use the so if I go to my modes, I use this tool to plant my grass down, just like this, and this grass actually looks pretty amazing, as you can see. And I can also control the wind of my grass from inside the material instance. So this is the wind. So if I turn this up, there's less wind. You can see there's a lot less wind now, and it's only moving from the top. So I really like this grass actually. I think it could even work in a stylized scene. If you guys are interested in a stylized scene. And so there we go. And then the expo down here, we can also change the color to maybe a green or a blue or a yellow. Wherever we do, it still looks quite nice. It's just the grass looks pretty amazing. So this is it, guys. This is what I want to show you guys today. I just thought I'd do something different for a change. Maybe look at some low poly stylized stuff. And I don't get to make videos very often, so whenever I do have time, I try to make something cool. And I hope you guys find these things useful. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.